Hey, how we doing, Terry?
Oh, hey. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you.
How are we? Sorry about that. All right.
I'm doing good. Good.
So, let's just real quick before Paul joins. Let's review kind of what we went over with Paul on Monday. Because I
Uh,
know Terry, you're trying to kind of follow along, right, at the same time.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would it be helpful if you and me, if I like created a checklist of just different items that you kind of need to pay attention
Sure.
to?
Yeah. All the resources that within the course they would be helpful. Um, and so I mean, when it comes time, I will be checking all the recorded links just to review. I'll keep them in my checklist as well. But yeah, any checklist you guys have to offer, what you guys went over. Um, I'm in the process of being, from Atlanta to Savannah, so Atlanta to Alabama, I mean, and then so I sometimes the time conflicts happen with the
Oh, yeah.
recurring.
Well, also, like if you need time with me like separately, just shoot me a message and I can be pretty flexible. I generally most of my clients are on the East Coast, so I try to yeah, keep those open. Oh, looks like we got Paul here. So what me and Paul walked through on uh, Tuesday essentially was just how we create users in the hub, and that's done here under users, and you just create user, and then from there you can add the permissions, give them access to the different products. And the second thing we talked about, and this might be where you guys are at right now, trying to figure that out down in Savannah, is basically locations and how we want locations to look inside the system and what they can do. So we have staging locations. Oh, this is a pick line. This should be a storage location. We just walked a little bit through the different location settings. You can have storage locations, which are just a very basic storage area where you can put product, pick from, and this is generally what most locations are for the type. And then we have staging, put away. A quarantine is going to be a location that's automatically on hold. So if you put product in there in the system, you say, I'm moving this to quarantine, or a location that has a quarantine type, it'll put it on hold and take it out of allocated inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And then allocation priority, this is how we jump the line. So generally, this is at a 9999 status. And basically, the system goes through and asks questions before it allocates product to an order. First in, first out, first expired, first out. One way to jump in front is to put a one here. And then that's going to be a location that we're going to pull product from first. So if you have a location that you're constantly refilling because it's just more convenient, we can pick from that location. So these are the location types that we designated. Um, we can import in bulk. So if you have a list of 1,000 locations, we can import them with all the different settings. So you don't have to set these up one by one. But ideally, what you want to do is figure out how your locations are going to look in the system, set them up, and then also have them be barcoded. So when you scan a location with the scanner, it'll move that product to the right location. So um, do you guys have like a plan for how you're going to have your location set up in Savannah?
In Alabama,
Oh, in
not yet.
Alabama, sorry.
Yeah. Not really, not yet. Right now,
Okay.
we're still. Yeah. There's still a lot of construction. There's still a lot of construction that hasn't been completed yet. So
Okay.
we're on the steps of our process.
Oh, this totally common. I've worked with a lot of people that are like kind of standing up warehouses at the same time that they're standing up extensive. So as
Hmm.
you get further down the line and you guys have like those locations create, I guess, the conventions, the names, and you're ready to barcode them, just let me know and I can help import those to make sure the barcodes read right. Um, even though you're kind of following along, I want to make sure you get set up the right way. So just let me know how I can help.
Thank you.
All right. So Paul, looks like you're here.
Yeah, hey Damon.
Um, Sweet. So are you in a spot where you can share your screen and I can guide you through customer creation? So today actually is a good call for you to be on, Terry, because what we're going to talk about is the inbound flow outbound flow of a customer, and then we're going to talk a little bit about setting items up, which is what we'll tackle next week.
Okay.
Sound good? So Paul, if you can start sharing your screen, I'll have my John Madden pen and I'll guide your clicks.
Hold on 1 second.
Sorry, am I still coming through? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we all hear you.
All right, cool. Any problem sharing there, or do you want me to take over?
Yeah. I gotta turn on a bunch of permissions.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. No, you're good. Just want to make sure it was working.
Actually, you might have to take over.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
first time you try to share Zoom, it gets a little bit weird. So I'll take over this one
Mhm.
and we'll just walk through each of these settings. So this is one that this is one where I talk a lot. So feel free to interrupt. You have questions or whatever. But basically, every single customer that you guys have is going to have their own settings when it comes to receiving, putting things away, and then allocating for orders. So when we want to create a new customer, we can always duplicate a customer. So say you have two customers that have a very identical flow, you can clone them and then just change the information. But I'm going to start with create new customer. Just go company name. I'll name this person A test. And then from there, we're going to have phone number, all this, basic information. And then we're going to have the state, primary contact info. And then this box right here, this is how we override the settings for customers. So say that, or override the email notifications that customers receive. So if you want the emails that come from the system when they create an order, create a receipt, or have something ship out or a transaction, we can just change the way that it looks. I'll turn this off for now. And the final piece you always want to do, and it gets forgotten a lot because it's here at the bottom, so sometimes you don't see it, is warehouse access. So you can click select all. Right now we only have one warehouse set up, so I'll just click select all. But if you have a customer who uses multiple locations, you'll want to make sure that they're assigned to both warehouses. Otherwise, their items are only going to show up in one of the warehouses or neither of the warehouses. And it'll be as if they don't exist in the system. So now we have like these 5 tabs across the screen here. This is this customer's individual receipt settings, order settings, and so on. We always want to allow locations, and this is a big one too, is movable units. This is what we call a pallet with an ID tag, basically. So when we're setting up billing, when we're setting up recurring storage, and if our customers are using pallets, it's really helpful for us to allow movable units because this is going to allow us to generate a barcode that we can put on that pallet. And now we can track every item on that pallet, everything that pallet does together. So if you have like 50 items on a pallet, rather than doing 50 item moves, you can do one pallet move and move all those items to a new location or pick all of those items for an order. And it's going to automate how we do recurring storage for pallets. And it's going to help us automate some of the handling fees for in and out fees. So allow movable units. Anytime you see movable unit, just think pallet with an ID or pallet with a license plate or a barcode. And then we have suppliers options here. This is to track the supplier on the receipt end. So say that you have a customer that's ordering things from China. They want to track the actual suppliers. You would click allow suppliers, and then you'll set up the supplier in admin with all of their different information. I'm going to disable suppliers. I don't see it used a ton, just occasionally. And then we have these 2 options here, which are when confirming a receipt, default to auto allocate to complete orders. If you have a back order and then you receive that item, the system's going to automatically allocate that to a back order, back order that's waiting to be filled. And then this right here is, I think, pretty important, default to split movable unit. And what this is going to allow us to do, see if I can find my pen. Here it is. When we actually get into item setup, say you're receiving 1,000 eaches of a SKU, right? So we'll say 1,000 cartons are coming, or 1,000 cases are coming in of something. If we have this box checked, the system's going to know that, and we set up the item set that like 100 cases sits on a pallet. Once we add 1,000 of this SKU, the system's going to automatically generate 10 pallets for us, 10 pallet labels and barcodes. So now we don't have to go in and say there are, we don't have to add 10 pallets of 100 10 times. We can just add 1,000 of a SKU and say, yes, split this movable unit. We're going to unload these 100 cases per pallet, and then the system can track those individually that way. So this is just a way to automate the way that we are receiving bulk of an item. Any questions on that?
No, so far so good.
Okay. And then receiving against an ASN, this little box right here is specifically for receiving in the warehouse with a scanner. So I'm going to turn on receive against ASN. This allows us to create a receipt that the warehouse can receive against. So you guys are expecting 1,000 pallets from somebody. They show up, they can go into Smart Scan, find the receipt, and then start confirming it. The default quantity 1 means that if it's generally going to be 1 pallet at a time that you're receiving these, I would do that, and then allow unconfirmed inventory to be moved. I like to turn that on as well because sometimes you're moving things around that are on a receipt, but the receipt's not confirmed yet, and this just gives you a little more flexibility. These order settings are generally pretty straightforward, but I did want to ask, when you guys are allocating for an order, do you plan to use the systems like first in, first out, or do your customers usually want you to pick certain products based on either a lot number or maybe an expiration date? How do you allocate for orders right now?
It's usually based on what the customer asks for.
Okay, so you're manually like going to select which of these pallets or which items, boxes, cases you guys are putting on an order?
Yeah, predominantly it's usually in batches. So like it's usually based on like a container number that it came in. So they usually take out the full container instead of just individual pallets. We do have partials and we do have clients that do, 3PL pick pack kind of stuff and things like that, but predominantly it's usually in batches.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do order queue, and when we get to the outbound portion, this will make a little bit more sense. But every time now when you add something to an order, our system will have it be orange in the orders page. An orange order just means you need to allocate it. And so I'll make sure that when we do outbound, we train on how to actually select the right batches that you want, right?
Mhm.
And so when you guys say batch, do you plan to track this? Actually, here, I'll save these settings for now. So
Like,
batches,
like for example, it's kind of like let's say we have an inbound container that came in and we have a container number corresponding with it, right? So we usually keep that batch as that container number. So if they ask for, CSNU 3562421 or something like that, then that's the container we pull and then we send out.
okay. So we can track that. How do you right now identify the right container number for whatever you want to pull for an order?
Usually it's just a label, and then when we have it stored in the warehouse, we usually have it done in columns and rows. So like if there's one container, we keep that container in that single row.
Okay, sweet. So here's an option. Do you guys track lot numbers?
Certain customers we do.
Okay. So I'm going to save this real quick. And just for quick reference, you'll probably ignore this in the system. Batches in extensive terminology refers to batch picking. So say you receive 5 orders or to 25 orders, right? This would be, hey, at 2:30 every day, I'm going to go pick 25 orders for this customer because they're just putting in so many. So I would just ignore this for you guys. Because what we're going to do to identify that is going to be actually on an individual receipt. and we'll find ways to just make sure that we're finding the right info. But that's the customer settings. It's pretty straightforward uh, in terms of just, for the most part, you're just going to allow movable units. You're going to allow locations, and then just kind of copy this setup is pretty flexible. And then we have order queue on, meaning that we're going to allocate orders manually. The rest of these are kind of for automated like EDI or API connections where we have orders flowing in from another system. But since we're just going to be creating orders, or maybe customers will be creating orders inside of Extensive, I won't waste too much time going through each of these individually. But basically, you can be in control of what they have to have on an order before we can generate one. And then you can always customize your packing slips here. You can insert just a header if you want to just have like a standard basic packing slip with your company logo right here. Okay, so that brings us to items, and this is going to be probably, I think it's the most important part of the system, and this is just how we set up items. So right now, Paul, it sounds like you're receiving containers full of pallets. Do you guys set up? It almost sounds a little more like freight, a little bit like cross-docking. Is that kind of what the flow is?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do you plan to set up these items individually, or are you just going to set up these as containers? How do you think makes the most sense?
That's tough because it's like certain customers, the items all exactly the same thing that comes in that container. And then we have other customers where they'll have like two, three different items. Um, so it's going to be different per customer.
Oh no, that's totally fine. It can be. So I was going to say, if you have a customer who's just very basic and all they care about is the pallet,
Mhm.
you can create this SKU to be anything you want.
Mhm.
I'll just hop into creating it. It might make more sense. And then for some of these customers that have more items, all you kind of want to consider is, how do I need to track this item on the way out the door, right?
Mhm.
So if you know that they're going to order, boxes of something, or they're going to order just full pallets or full containers, that's really just going to determine which units of measure we use.
Mhm.
So this is, I think, the most important part of Extensive in general, or just having a WMS, is just making sure you have the right units of measure. And so the way I kind of like to describe these, it's kind of like a pyramid on this page. They all kind of lead up. So you're going to start with the biggest down here as the movable unit, and then you have packaging unit, primary units of measure, and we can also use secondary units of measure. If we use this, we can have two things. Say we have an each, and we'll say a carton, and we know that there are 4 cartons or 4 eaches in a carton, but then these maybe get bundled in a case, and they come in a case of, so then this question right here is referring back to the eaches. So maybe it's a 4-pack of 4, so we know that a case has 16, and then we can tell the system, I'm going to pause right here, go to movable units, and I'm just going to create pallet. And these are the different types of movable units that you guys have. And then I always just put 1 here, and you can change the actual size of everything if you want. Um, but really all we care about is having a code for the type of pallet that we're going to have. So I'm going to actually refresh this. Go to items. I have to redo that. So do you guys have like multiple pallet sizes? How does that look in the warehouse?
Yeah, we do have multiple pallet sizes. Generally from Korea, it's not the standard 48 by 40.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so they use a lot of custom made sizes.
Okay, sweet. So you can set up um, as many different type of movable units as you need. If there's like a standard size, you can just have pallet be the default, and then you can add whatever their different sizes are, so you guys can track it. But what I wanted to really highlight here on the units of measure for the movable unit is that split movable unit where we can automate how many pallet labels we make. That's done with this little box right here. So if we know that there are 16 eaches in a case, we'll say we're going to have 10 cases on a pallet. We would just say 160. So what we're basically doing on this page is we're doing some math and saying there are 4 eaches in a carton, there are 16 eaches in a case, and then there are 160 eaches on a pallet. Now, if you have a customer that doesn't care, I'm going to say test each. And this is where we can determine what we're tracking, right? So are we tracking lots? Are we tracking expiration dates? Are we tracking serial numbers? And these options are, do they have to be unique? Is it required? Is it optional? If we just have a track by as opposed to is required, we'll pick it up if it's on the receipt, right? So if you want to enter a serial number, you can, but you don't have to. So I'm going to put track by on all these so it's available to us, but it's not required. And then we can also relabel these. So if we are using a lot number, but your customer uses batch number, we can relabel the entire system so that you just see batch number instead of lot number. Same with expiration date and serial number, cost. We can change the names of all of these fields. So if there's other track bys you need to track that are outside of this, you can still have that flexibility. You can set up the tariff codes for each individual item here with the right country of origin so that we can generate a bill of lading and any other shipping documentation that you need. And then an item qualifier, I don't anticipate you guys will use this. I see this most in like apparel. Say you're receiving a bunch of red t-shirts and they all have the same SKU number, but you want to separate XL, large, medium, small. You can create a qualifier, and it's just another way to track an item where the SKUs are the same, but they're actually slightly different products. So I'm going to save this item here. So now we have a test each, but say you have a customer who only cares about containers, right? It's just cross-docking. They're never going to unload in your warehouse. You can name them containers. And then I would just have that be an each. And each container is its each. And then I could even create a movable unit and give that container a pallet ID label, but I would probably just leave it like this, click save. Oh, whoops. Got to have a 1 here. So now you're just going to track those containers separately. So you can get as granular with the item setup as you want, down to the very each, how many are sitting inside a case, or you can have it be very broad and just have containers or pallets. I'll create one that's pallet as well. Track by lot. Pallet on a pallet. On a pallet. All right, so kind of the big thing to plan out at this point is how we want to start setting up items for customers. So Paul, do you have, which customer could we start setting up items for on Tuesday?
Probably P&L.
P&L? Okay, and is there, do you have like an item list for them, or do you have an inventory report that has SKU numbers?
We have a spreadsheet that we track everything on. So
Okay. Is there any way you could email me that spreadsheet? And then on Tuesday's call, what I'll do is we'll walk through how we import items and just how to create these in bulk as opposed to creating these individually one by one.
yeah, sure.
All right. So that's pretty much all we have today is just, customer settings, item setup. And this is kind of our design and config, which is where I think we talked on Friday last week. That was the plan, is we want to get to design, be done with design and configuration, the training portion of it. And so what we'll do on Tuesday is we'll set up P&L. And on that call, I'll also show you how we add these items to a spreadsheet, upload that spreadsheet, have a bulk bunch of items. So if you can just send me that spreadsheet, I'll prepare the item import ahead of time, and then we'll just plan to meet next week.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
Thanks,
sounds
Damon.
good.
Yeah, thank you, Damon. And then I also had a question, like, because I know the reason why I proposed the extensive to James was you guys had the FIFO option when you were creating items,
Yeah,
the first and first, because that's one of the important features that I'm gonna need for my first customer in Alabama.
yeah. So that's going to be slightly different in the setup.
Uh-huh.
So that's going to be the default inventory option. So the one
Hmm.
setting that I turned on for this test customer that you'll not want to turn on
Hmm.
is right here under orders, order queue. So if you have this button checked, it's going to ignore first in, first out, and you're going to manually allocate orders. But if you have this button unchecked, now the system is going to default to first in, first out.
First out.
And then you have these last in, first out, FIFO, LIFO, FIFO, whatever you want to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Terry, if you want, when we do the item setup, I can always double check whatever, making sure that the allocation is working the right way. So that's just the major call out there. Order queue turned off, and then select the right allocation method inside of the item setup. Each individual item can be its own allocation method.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. I'll save some of the hours for that call.
All right, sounds good. No, I mean here in the beginning, I just kind of I feel like a lot of times like we're breezing over information, and then once we get real customer data in there, it's like we review this, it kind of cements it, gets stuck in the head a little bit better. So yeah, we can definitely support any of the allocation quirks that your customer needs.
Sounds good. Thank you.
If I want another user to have access right now to this, so they could kind of mess with it, because the GM here wants to kind of go through it. I could create that user, correct, on the home screen?
Yes, you'll just come here, follow the prompts from here. So just make them a 3PL user because they work in your facility, and then I think I'd be curious to see your feedback because this is a newer feature for us. We just kind of redid this. So try to add them and then let me know. And if you need help, just shoot me an email. I can fix anything you need.
All right, cool.
All right, awesome, guys. So yeah, we'll plan to meet next week.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bye,
Hi,
everybody.
Damien.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. But this is not really about what you have talked about today. It's more about the technical questions. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Are you guys providing API for the system?
We do, we can. It's not on this project, but if you guys do have like an API need in the future, we can always support that. There's just like a little survey. Sometimes it costs money depending on what needs to be done. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that, I can always connect you to the right people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, everybody. Bye.